running our Assassin Ascendancy through our 1 div T17 completion. So we have about 1 divine worth of gear on our character. We're going to be running Hex Blast Minor with Cast on Stunned Essence Drain through an Abomination map. Abomination map is 100% increased area of effect. Monsters have 700% increased crit chance and 72% multi. Ellie Reflect doesn't affect us, but the 2 extra prods can be very nasty on T17 maps. Monsters have power charges, so that's more crit. And monsters have Ellie resistances and chaos res. So we're going to do a little bit less damage to everything and take a lot more damage than we normally would. So we'll see how Ink ability goes for our little assassin here. Mapping is fairly simple. Just throw out mines, let mines blow up and kill things. And if you get surrounded, Essence Drain is going to be cast when stunned out to do damage to targets that are attacking you. As you can see, even with monster resistances, we do a fair amount of damage. We're probably doing about 35 to 40% less damage than we normally would. Well, take that back. We are converting to cold res for our mines here, which means that we're doing 62% less damage than we would normally be doing. Still not too bad. Damage is good, clear is good, and so far survivability seems fine. Although we haven't run into any giant proj packs yet, and those would be the ones like that one right there that get really dangerous. No basilisks on the map, so that's always a good sign. Now, Abomination bosses are probably some of the least favorable bosses to do, which is why we choose Abomination maps. They're a really good example of how bad the situation can get. I think the only one worse than Abomination bosses is Citadel, and I refuse to run Citadel on any character that can be action speed reduced. But here are our bosses right here. Let's hop in. Versus Abomination, I typically prefer to kill Dodri first because she has really annoying monoliths that she spawns that make the fight very difficult when you have multiple of the ghosted bosses up. So if we kill her first, then we can take out the monoliths afterwards. We are a punishment-based build, and so most of our damage is backloaded on the bottom 50% of the boss's life. But as you can see, we still have very, very solid damage to the boss, even at 65% less damage than normal. Survivability seems to be functioning very well. We are not crit immune, but we are crit immune if we have been stunned recently. So versus large single hits, there is a chance that we get one shot by a big slam, but versus many small hits, and like this fight with lots of extra proj, we're virtually crit immune for the duration of the fight. And we get that affix, or that notable, on our passive tree by going through Stun Mastery. Now once Dodri is dead, our damage is going to get cut by about half because we lose 25% action speed and 25% damage. And then we're going to start taking 25% more damage from the red monolith that will spawn. And unfortunately, the monoliths can also not be cursed, so we're going to get one shot by a slam. Whenever Dodri dies, she respawns as Fat Dodri, and Fat Dodri does a very, very big slam. And there's not much that we can do about that other than just hope that we are crit immune for the time that the slam occurs, and then focus on killing this red monolith. Like I said, the monoliths cannot be cursed, and you have a ton of debuffs active, so you're overall just going to be doing a lot less damage to the monolith. But if you can position yourself so that Malagaro or Chevron will stand near the monolith, then you can get some overlap with your AoE and splash damage into it and help to kill it faster. And once this red monolith is dead, we will lose the debuff that causes us to take an additional 25% damage, and we won't nearly be as susceptible to the slams. As you can see, the assassin is very tanky, but by no means immortal. However, for the most part, you won't have to dodge out of many mechanics on the build. As long as you are maintaining your mines and pumping out damage and standing near a target to get your essence drain and your wither out, then you'll be in a good position to stay alive. Oh, Malgaro, get a little bit closer to that monolith. Be helpful. I know you want to be closer to me. There you go, buddy. And once the red monolith goes down, we're no longer going to be as susceptible to getting one shot by a slam. And then we can move on to the green and the purple monoliths, which are going to, once those are dead, we will lose all of the damage reduction that we currently have. Now you don't really want to kill the bosses going into the main boss with monoliths up, because then you have much less survivability. One monolith down. Move over to the green monolith here. This one, I believe, reduces your damage by 25%. And then the purple one reduces your action speed by 25%. We may accidentally kill Chaperone here. If we do, that's probably fine. The crit immunity from Proges and the recovery on block should keep us alive through her ghosted phase, where she throws out several hundred projectiles instead of several dozen. Unfortunately, we don't have any way to target with our mines. We can throw mines at a target, and so it's hitting it right now. But this build would be much better suited for something like Fortress, or Citadel, or Sanctum. But it is nice to showcase more difficult fights, typically. Once this monolith goes down, we'll move on to the purple monolith. Likely one of these bosses are going to die from incidental damage before we get over and kill this one. If it is Malagaro, then all you do is stand outside of the degen poles he puts on the ground and attack from a distance with mines. It's best to position those degen poles kind of on the outside of the room. He drops 3 of them whenever he phases. And if you just stay towards the outside of the room, you can position those. Now we'll just kill the mine, or kill the monolith. We do have 25% of our damage back. When this monolith goes down, we will have 100% of our damage back. I'm going to stand by the monolith and hope Chaperone will come over here and stand next to us. That would be convenient. Come on, girl. You can probably stand in this degen for a minute and try to get her over here. There we go. Now we can work on both of them at the same time. Once the monolith and Chaperone go down, we'll deal with the boss. The boss should die relatively quickly. The Assassin Ascendancy does 25% more damage when there is a single unique target nearby. So that'll give us a boost to our damage. The monolith being dead will give us a boost to our damage. And the ability to position ourselves on a boss and drop Withering on him, because these totems are not affected by a lot of our debuffs. Oof. Got clipped by a slam there. But just like the gauntlet, 3 portals still counts, right? When she's up in the air and immune, we lose a tremendous amount of our recovery. Probably want to dodge around when she's up in the air and immune. And under punishment, she starts to go down very, very quickly. And come on out and play, big boy. We're over here. Come on. I know you want to. That red pull that he drops on the ground stacks a debuff on you that causes you to take additional damage. Because he has extra projectiles, he throws several of them out, and because they have increased AoE, they're very big. So make sure you don't stand in those, it'll stack up very quickly and get you killed. It stacked up to 8 stacks almost instantly because of the extra proj. Now these AoEs on the wall don't really do enough damage to our character to be concerned with, so you don't have to worry about dodging out of those. It's just the red pull on the ground that'll get you killed. We can stand in probably dozens of these. And that red pull, that bad boy gets you killed real fast. The purple pull doesn't hurt you, but it does make you do much less damage to the boss. Boosting your action speed by 50% at 10 stacks. And once we get this guy down to under 50% health, he'll start dying very quickly from punishment. As we got rubber banded back into the purple pulls. It should throw out some red pulls here shortly, so we need to make sure that we're ready to move for those. If you want better control over your wither on the target, then you can always run spell totems with wither instead of the cast when stunned withering step, but I prefer the additional automation. And boss dead, T17 complete. The assassin did very well. Very tanky, he's got really good damage. He's got better scaling than a lot of the other builds because you can scale this helmet very, very well. You can scale this wand very, very well. You can scale this amulet very well, and you can scale these gloves very well. You've got a lot of options for making improvements on the character. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the POB on the assassin. As far as items go, we are running a spell damage wand. You can pick these up for very, very cheap. On this build, you just go to find best item, execute the search. Go to your Path of Exile trade. Come in, sort this by 20 chaos. And you're going to be looking for the highest sum on a wand that you have an open prefix or suffix on, preferably a suffix because you can craft on it. And so this one has an open suffix, but it is currently crafted on. So we're going to just go ahead and add looking for empty suffix. There are 28 wands that fit this criteria. Again, we're going to sort by sum. And this one right here at the top is perfect. Just copy this wand, put it in your spreadsheet, and you can see how it stacks up against our current wand. We're going to craft on Mind Throwing Speed on the wand, and then we're going to Runesmith on a mid-tier spell damage. That's very cheap. Throw this wand in our build, and if we had that wand instead of the wand that is in the build here, you go from 1.4 million DPS to 1.34. A very, very good wand for very cheap. We are also going to look for a shield. Very simple. Just get a Shaper influenced shield. Alt spam it until you get 5% life when you block, and then benchcraft on percent chance to block if you don't hit that. You can get much better shields than this, but we can make this shield for about 5 chaos. For our Corruption Brow Archdemon Crown, we are just going to buy any 1 to 3 chaos Archdemon Crown, and then we're going to hit it with 1 essence for, I believe it's Hysteria, which is 30% more damage while on low life. And then whatever else it has on there doesn't matter. This one got accuracy and some regenerate and a little bit of max life, so that was good. And then we'll benchcraft on either socketed AoE gems, or we'll benchcraft on something else useful depending on what suffixes are open there. We have a Chaom's Heart. If you can, look for a corrupted one that has something useful. These are dirt cheap. Wyvern Scale Gloves, we're just looking for life and resistances on this. And then this one had an open prefix on it, so we're able to craft damage during a flask effect. Windscreen Greaves are very cheap. You can probably look for corrupted versions of these with something useful on them. Our amulet over here, we're going to do the same thing as we did with our wand. We're just going to trade for this item, search for highest DPS, and then make sure that it has max life on it. Our ring here, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to look for resistances instead of max life, and frostbite on hit. You're going to spend about 10 to 15 chaos for a curse frostbite on hit. You could also do curse flammability on hit or curse conductivity on hit. It doesn't matter which curse you pick, just as long as there's an elemental curse on hit on there to continuously trigger the on hit curse and using Hex Blast. We have a Valyrian Moonstone ring. Again, just look for a corrupted one with something useful on it. And then we have a basic life plus resistance belt. Our flask, we're running a topaz flask, diamond, granite, jade, and amethyst. You don't have to run a topaz flask. I literally just bought the cheapest flask on the market that had charges plus regeneration on it. We're running a blood notch crimson jewel and an immutable force crimson jewel. And then for the last jewel slot, you're just looking for something that does damage or has life on it. This one that we got here has 7% max life on it and has a little bit of damage through mind throwing speed. You're going to search for these the same way as you did your wand and your amulet, trade for these items, and then add a search affix to make sure that you have some increased life on there. For our skills, we are running Essence Drain, Castman, Stun, and Punishment, and then we have Flame Dash and the Empty Socket on our boots there. And then for our auras, we have Tempest Shield with Eternal Blessing and Determination. We're running Hex Blast with High Impact Mine, Minefield, and Charged Mines, and running Castman Stun for Withering Step, Efficacy, and more duration, so that we can increase the duration of the withered effect just to make sure that it's up as much as possible. And then we have Petrified Blood with Automation and Detonate Mines in our weapon here. And then the Frostbite or Flammability or Conductivity on hit. Wither we aren't using, we're just using the Withering Step debuff for Wither. For our passive tree, we are taking life, blood magic, very important. We're taking shield mastery here, block mastery here. We're taking armor mastery here and armor mastery here. We're taking more life and percent armor right here. We're picking up endurance charges here and endurance charges here. And then we have 3 jewel slots available to us for getting our immutable force and our blood notch. For immutable force and blood notch, you're literally just buying the cheapest ones on the market. If you spend more, they're just better. But for the sake of the build and keeping it under budget, I think this one was 10 cast and this one was like 7 cast. We also are going to go ahead and take Nomadic Teachings here for percent max Res and Protection Mastery for Corrupted Blood Immunity. If you have a Corrupted Blood Immunity jewel, then you obviously don't need to spend this point and you can spend it somewhere else. But this percent max Res is very important. We get it here, here, and here. Right here. And so that max res is very important. We want as much max res as possible because it makes the recovery from everything else more effective. With this setup, you're going to hit about 9k total life, and then you want to stay at low life so that you can take advantage of pain attunement and the very cheap, easy to get 30% more damage while on low life on our Archdemon Crown. Now, if you have any questions on this build, just leave a comment down below. POB will be listed down below as well. Or if you have more in-depth questions, just come by the Twitch channel and ask them. I spend like 12 to 16 hours a day streaming, and most of that time is spent helping people with their builds or working. Peace.